Welcome to Sustainable Bodies for Life. I'm Renee Cherry with Pain Free Body, and I thank you for joining my activity. We will open your eyes to new thoughts of your body, simple movements, but not necessarily easy, and proper positions as we'll go through today. We have some instruction and some fun movements, and I just really encourage everyone to participate to your best of your ability. And then if there are some movements or postures that I could adapt more, please let me know. I'm here to answer questions throughout this activity and help you the best I can. Thank you. And then also realize that it's not about forcing anything. It's all about setting us up for success and moving forward in a new way. Let's start this activity by changing your mindset just a little bit. I'm going to ask the question, what appears least like the others below? 1, parenthesis, the word 1. 2, parenthesis, the word 13. 3, parenthesis, the word 21. Feel free to message me over this platform your answer, or simply just note your answer in your head. Think about the reason why you chose the answer that you did. And I know many of you will have picked the same numbers for different and even sometimes the same reasons, and all of your answers are correct. However, all of your answers for what I'm looking for are too complex. I'm looking for a very simple answer. The answer to the question, what appears least like the others, is the number 2 before the parenthesis, because 2 is even compared to 1 and 3. Yes, this seems like a bit of a trick question, but we're trying to change our mindset here, and too often the solutions are easy and right in front of us, but many times we don't stop to pay attention and we make things a lot more difficult than they need to be. So I want you to think of everything as a whole today and not just the end result. Eric stated that the slogan, "Seeing is believing," is a dead wrong statement. Rather, believing is seeing, and belief is a good way to start.
My name's Eric Weinmeier, and I live in Golden, Colorado, and I'm a climber and an adventurer and kayaker, and I happen to be blind too. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I'm 50 now, and I do like really extreme things, like I'm always out in the mountains climbing a huge rock or ice face, or hiking a mountain at high altitude. And being blind, I have to kind of feel my way, and so somebody told me at one point I'm pretty unsustainable, and I went, oh no, and so I started looking for solutions, and I came across the Egoscue.
Egoscue method is a technique that uses gentle stretches and personally tailored exercise program to help improve and or correct dysfunctional posture.
It's helped me to understand how different bodies are. I have very specific problems that are built up from over and over, 30 years of doing certain movements and having to function and in the mountains and having to compensate. You look at my body, you watch me walk, you look at the specific problems that I may be having with posture that day, that week, also with the activities that I'm throwing myself into. Like now I'm going to go climb a big Himalayan high altitude peak, so I've been hiking and biking a lot, and you can tell that those extreme movements create different problems that we have to address. So it's very individual. And Renee, I'd say that that's like a real huge talent of yours, like really being able to come in like as a natural and just looking at me and saying, okay, you can't see, so I'm going to touch his hip and I'm going to show him what I'm doing, and I'm going to put his body in the right position. That's really important when you're working with people with disabilities and challenges. Egoscue has helped me as an athlete, but it's also just helped me in my normal life. I'm starting to understand what the right body position feels like for me. Body awareness is so really cool to come into my own and be able to kind of understand what feels good and feels right in terms of my posture.
I work with individuals ranging from those in chronic pain to professional athletes, both in person and virtually across the globe.
We all have such crazy busy lives. Like I'm scheduled so much throughout the day when I'm home, and then I'm up in the mountains for 10 or 12 hours. It's hard to find time. and you come to me, which is incredibly helpful. You come to an office, you'll even do stuff virtually all around the world. So you make it work, and that's a big plus.
Through Pain Free Body, we are able to help people increase performance as well as empower people to live a pain-free life. Pain Free Body and one of No Barrier's life elements is alchemy. This transformation is demonstrated through creating strategies of change rather than having hope. Hope, we like to say, is much like coke. Neither are strategies, and both have holes in the middle. Taking action and forging forward through these trying times is what this summit is based on, especially in these times that we are experiencing virtually together. I am Renee Cherry. Thank you for being here today and participating in my activity. I want to introduce myself and background just a little bit before we get into this today. I am intimately aware of how barriers of pain can alter everyday life. In 1996, I suffered a traumatic ski injury and was informed repeatedly that not only would I never be able to participate in athletics, but daily activities would be a constant challenge. For me, such a prognosis meant a diminishing quality of life. After 2 years of daily intense physical, occupational, and speech therapy, I regained the ability to walk and run. That said, I suffered from debilitating back pain and recurrent migraines for years to come. When I was told that I simply would have to accept these physical limitations, I thought to myself, this is my life and I better make the most of it. For more than 10 years, I lived with back pain and migraines. Desperate to find relief from back pain, I would lie on the ground, while migraines often confined me to bed for hours or days. Chronic pain became such a central part of my daily life that I only listened to it when it became unbearable, all the while refusing to allow it to monopolize my existence. After a few months, I personally benefited from the Adobe method demonstrated by Pain Free Body, which reduced the frequency and intensity of my migraine. Despite the fact that being told that athletics were beyond my reach, I improved as a snowboarder and did downhill runs in Colorado with New Zealander Pete Williams, a para-alpine sit skier, as well as hiked several 14ers and many, many more. My mother was a victim in a fatal car crash in her teens, which left her with permanent mobility dysfunctions, ongoing complications, and pains I'll never be able to comprehend. Despite the life-changing, life-giving back that Pain Free Body has offered me personally and the therapy, my mom is my driving factor. I have always known her to be in some sort of pain, whether it's the glimmer in her eye or the extra time it takes her to get up and get going. I one day received a phone call from my mom, and she was crying, and she said, Renee, I was thinking about you and I was crying. And I was a bit confused, and I said, well, what did I do? And she proceeded to say, I want to thank you. And I said, what did I do? And she said, Renee, without you, I would not be able to get up and get going in the mornings. And that right there is precisely why I do what I do, to get people up and going. Thanks, Mom. Brace yourselves. You get to try some exercises that former NFL and current NFL players have been doing. Shown here are former Denver Broncos player and Hall of Fame recipient Rod Smith. Also, NFL All-Pro safety John Lynch. Both players were thought to have played successfully past their prime. Lynch attests that the Adobe method is a reason for his football career longevity. Also shown here is a 49ers player warming up right before the most recent Super Bowl. Posture is a lot more than just sitting up straight or standing up straight or imagining sitting or standing up straight. It encompasses a lot of systems. It affects our immune system. It affects our digestive system. It affects our respiratory system. There are certain nerves in your cervical or neck area that communicate directly to your diaphragm. This forward head posture can directly affect your breathing. So let's do a demonstration. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my back. I'm going to round my shoulders forward and tuck my head down. And then try to take a deep breath in this position. It's almost nearly impossible to take a full, true, deep breath with such rounded posture. But if we force it, we just try to stick out our chest or lift your head and even lean back in the extreme way, you can even hear how it's affecting my voice as I'm leaning back farther than my body wants to go. So it's not about forcing these positions or being very purposeful and sitting up straight. It's about awareness and key components to put ourselves or set ourselves up for success. And we will do that today. The Egoscue Method Overview. A method created by a gentleman named Pete Egoscue out of necessity, coming out of the Vietnam War injured. We first make our habits, then our habits make us. Whether or not you have been told by someone else, or you constantly tell yourself you cannot or are not able to do something, that slowly becomes our reality. However, we are working on breaking through that reality. The remarkable thing is we can adapt and not stay aligned with the perception of what people think. We can try so hard to overcome a barrier, one of perception or a real barrier. But if we are out of alignment, or we're in pain, or become good at being in pain by just coping, the effectiveness of our efforts are drastically reduced.
Hi, my name is Dan O'Connell. I'm an ex-Marine, as you can tell by the cap that I'm wearing today. I served for 12 years, and it was always drilled into me to stand in a forced position with my heels together and at a 45-degree angle. And for you veterans out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I was able to sit in on one of Renee's sessions, and I was amazed to find out that the underlying cause of my problem was mostly my posture. I am also facing a total knee replacement, and as a result, I've started having back pains. My wife noticed that my gait was a little different, and also I started to dip a little bit when I walked. My wife was very instrumental in pushing me to see someone else besides my surgeon, because she knew that I really dreaded facing surgery. I didn't think that my condition would ever improve. That's when I found Renee and Pain Free Body. Renee has tailored an exercise program designed specifically for me. I want to say I was somewhat apprehensive that Renee could possibly even help me, but I decided to give her a try. I figured I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Renee was really a godsend, as I know that I will eventually have to have knee surgery, but since I've been working with her and doing her exercises, I've been able to hold this surgery off over a year now, and I don't see anything in the near future where I need to have the surgery. Renee has helped me work through some personal barriers that I've had in conquering what I felt was almost impossible for me to overcome. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain my story. I want you to know that I will continue to work with Renee in the future, and thank you very much for what you've been able to do for me.
I have a wonderful friend who is legally blind, who explained to me that we all have blind spots in our lives. For instance, we have bumped our head at one time or another. Perhaps it was on a dresser, for instance, bending down to pick up keys. It's not that we don't see the dresser. It's that blindness is correlated with focus and attention. If we were only focusing on picking up the keys, we may be blinded to the dresser and therefore bump our head, even though we could see the dresser. She has opened my eyes to the range of blindness, whether it's blindness with oneself, which leads into blindness of body, or blindness in thinking of what we can or cannot do. My challenge everyone today is to open up your mind to a life without limitations, a life without being blinded.
It also has opened up doors for me in being more free to get out and about in the world, to go for a walk and not worry about falling all the time, to decide I want to make something for dinner and not worry about tripping and falling and spilling all my food on the floor, which my dogs love, but I don't love so much. It also helps to share with people what has helped me so much, because many people have noticed that knew me before my injury and since my injury. Maybe I haven't seen for quite a while. What have you done, Anne? What's so different? I'll share with them, well, this lady I know, Renee, and she helped me find my body again. which has been fantastic.
As you know, I have been personally working with Eric, and you can see from his posture pictures the great improvement in his alignment. Shown here is a before picture of Eric where he is a bit slumped over with his shoulders forward and almost in, we call it kind of a skier's jump position, ready to take off. And his after picture, with him more aligned, we can see that he's stacked and more evenly distributed. We know that Eric is strong, but strength doesn't necessarily equal function. I like to explain, for instance, a tire. It's a front right tire of your car, or even your tire of your wheelchair. Keeps going out of alignment, and all you do is change the tire, and you don't work on alignment or the systems designed to support the wheels. That same tire will always give you problems. This is true when we look at our bodies. On our first session, Eric told me that someone saw a video of him and told him his body was not sustainable. With the caliber of activities that Eric does, that statement hit him hard. Even though he was experiencing pain, the idea of being unsustainable was unacceptable. It is safe to say, though, that Eric has become good at being in pain by pushing his body to the limits mentally, physically, and emotionally in all of the things he aspires to do.
Hey, so this is Eric Weimer, and I'm with Renee, and learning this new therapy called Egoscue. It's really helped me. Somebody looked at my movements, the way I hike, and being blind, I'm like all hunched over and always rotated climbing. They said, you are unsustainable. So I went, I want to be more sustainable. So I looked up and somebody recommended Egoscue, and I called Renee, and you've been coming over here, you've probably been over like 15 times with different programs. And these exercises are really amazing. They've been helping me so much stand up straighter and feel so much better in my back and my hips and my knees.
We are going to meet Hal K today, a patient of mine turned friend, and also a vet. I'm going to speak a little bit on his background and limitations before we meet him. Hal is an avid golfer who suffers from the following symptoms: functional scoliosis, fused right foot, low back pain, shoulder pain, and spinal stenosis. He was unable to stand to shave without low back pain. He was unable to get going in the mornings without warming up. He was unable to play golf on consecutive days without paying for it for the next several days. He was unable to walk or stand for an extended period of time without stopping to sit or lean on something. Shown here is Hal's before posture photo. The plumb line shows that he's offset quite a bit, his feet are turned outward, and he's got rounded shoulders. After 3 weeks with Pain-Free Body and myself, Hal K was experiencing the following successes. He was playing golf for 4 consecutive days pain-free. Hal has also improved his golf game, resulting in the ability to drive the ball farther. We can't promise it's in the right direction, but farther is a key. Hal was also able to stand at a party throughout the evening without experiencing the tired back pain, being able to socialize with others. And his morning routine has also been upgraded to being able to wake up and complete his morning stretches without complications or pain.
I feel way more stable than I felt earlier.
Shown here is a remarkable after posture photo. The plumb line is more evenly distributed between his body. His feet are facing forward, his shoulders are more level, but the thing that means most to me is that he's smiling. Here is also a quick side-by-side before and after. The plumb line is more even along his body, and again, he's smiling.
Hi, my name is Hal K. I'm 72 years old. I'm an Air Force veteran. I've been spending 12 years in the Air Force. And during that time, I also refereed high school and college basketball. And I played a very high level of competitive softball. Then I hit the ripe old age of 55 and my body began to deteriorate. That's when I needed some tuning up. I had some stem cell treatments and some PRP treatments. And it was ultimately recommended to what I was told at that point was posture therapy. And it's made all the difference in the world in my life, both as a grandfather, as a husband, and as a golfer.
So if somebody was seeking out Egoscue and Pain-Free Body and they weren't so sure about moving forward or they were apprehensive about this, what would you say to them, knowing what you know and how far you've come?
I think I would tell them first, assess your needs. Second, do the research because it's all out there. Third, give Renee a call and try it because I'd almost guarantee it's going to help. No matter what your problem is, or what you think your problem is, or what you don't think your problem is, this process will help you.
Pain-Free Body has successfully been using virtual platforms with patients all across the globe for over a decade. We are able to meet with you one-on-one, as well as see you in your environment and brainstorm for your surroundings. A lot of times people like that a little better than coming into a clinic, because you can call me on a walk. I've had a lady recently call me on a motorcycle ride, or in your office, you name it, we can connect if you have Wi-Fi. As we start moving today, if you're able to take off your shoes and be barefoot, please do that. And also know that I will be showing standing, sitting, and alternative movements throughout the activity. Now it's time for our simple posture check. For those of you who can slip your shoes off or are able to go barefoot, please do so. And for those of you who need to remain sitting or prefer sitting, a seated position is appropriate too. Let's wait a little bit to get our shoes off and find a comfortable standing position and or sitting. Your arms are relaxed to your sides, and for everyone, no matter your visual ability, I would like everyone to close their eyes and feel the weight on your feet. Notice the weight front to back, inside, outside, left to right. And also for those of you who are sitting, imagine that. Imagine the feeling of your feet, either on the floor or on the supports of your wheelchair. And then also tune into the feeling of your sit bones, if you can, or just imagine how that feels. Are you tipped to one side or the other? Go ahead and open your eyes and notice your hands, whether you can look down and see them, whether you see the backs of your hands, you see your first finger and your thumb, or you can feel your palms touching your side or your thumbs touching your sides. Now we're going to do a sitting posture check, and I want you to imagine or visualize or feel the difference of your feet either on the floor or in your wheelchair. So go ahead and close your eyes and visualize your feet, or feel them, or even feel your sit bones against the chair or your wheelchair. And then notice if you're swaying, because this can happen too. And when you're able to open your eyes, look down or feel your feet. Notice if one foot maybe is in front of the other, or if your hands are falling forward or back. So let's try some exercises. The main point in all of these exercises is to try to have even bilateral, so side to side positioning, opposed to being curled in or twisted. So modifications could be such that you can put one arm in the belt loop of your pants to have you even across, or place your arm on something next to you that makes your shoulders even. I've had a lady put her arm on a horse, which we'll see later. I've had people use desks. I've had people use the side of their wheelchair. Just some modification that we can do to have your arms even though one side may be not working, or both sides. Join me in doing arm circles. I'll show sitting and standing. The very first thing we want to be aware of or line up is our feet. So you want your feet about a fist width distance apart, as well as the outsides pointing straight forward. You want your feet even, so not one in front of the other. And this is appropriate for sitting position as well. So if your feet are on the floor, make sure they're straight forward. And if you're in a wheelchair, make sure your legs or your feet are as straightforward as you can get them. The next thing we will do is work on what's called the golfer's grip. You're going to take the tips of your fingers and curl to the pads of your hands. So not necessarily making a fist, but curling just the tips of your fingers to the top pad of your hands. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades down and back, bring your arms out to a T with your thumbs pointed straight forward, and we'll do circles. You want to make sure that your bottom is relaxed, your toes are not gripping the floor, and you're not up in your shoulders or up in your ears. So keep your shoulder blades down and back and circle forward rather quickly. Good, circle, circle, circle. And notice how as you're circling here, we kind of have a sway forward and backward. So we're working on dynamic tension in your body. Good, keep circling forward and always make sure to breathe. And smiling is encouraged. Roll, circle, circle, circle. And let's do 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is the sitting posture, circling forward. We circle the direction that our thumbs are pointing. Great. And elbows really straight, opposed to, look at how great I'm doing with our elbows bent, but that's cheating. So it's not about how far or how hard you do it. It's about doing it in the correct position. So elbows locked out, shoulder blades down and back, and circling. Again, making sure that your feet are straight forward as you can get them, and one foot is not in front of the other. And what we do in one direction, we need to do in the other. So we are going to pin your shoulder blades down and back. Do that grip with your knuckles, so taking the tips of your fingers and touching the top pads of your hands. Arms out to a T, palms up, thumbs back. Make sure your shoulder blades are still down and your elbows are straight as you can get them. And circle backwards. Good. Circle from the shoulder and really make sure your elbows are as straight as you can get them. And circle, circle. Picture and envisioning opening up in the chest, opening up in the upper back, getting more mobility. Keep circling. Great. And this exercise can be done one-sided as well. And there are some videos here that will zoom in on that. Good. And 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. This next exercise, we're going to keep the same grip in our knuckles, and there's a few variations. One, you can remain standing, again with the fist width distance, or two, you can come against the wall if you have easy access or a door that you can stand with your heels, your bottom, your shoulders, and we're not going to force our head, but heels, bottom, and shoulders against the wall. And then also the seated posture is appropriate as well. So all of these transbond. And again, one arm movement is appropriate. We just always want to try to have the best setup that we can get, opposed to if we're curled in, we want to open up the best we can in these positions. So I will show the standing position. Go ahead and give me that grip. Grip the first part of your knuckles. Tips of your fingers to the pads, the top pad of your hand. Thumbs are pointed down, so give me a thumbs down. Knuckles at your temples, and open your elbows back as far as you can, and then bring your elbows together in front of your body, wherever that may be. A lot of you, even just holding your arms up at your temples is a lot of work, and so just sit with that for a second, or imagine holding this. But open your elbows back as far as you can, imagining that you're touching a wall behind you, or even touch the wall if you're standing there, and or bring them back far enough that you don't see them in your side vision. So you're going to open and close, and wherever your elbows meet is appropriate. However, I'm going to turn to the side to show if I'm going to strain. So if I'm here and only time I can touch my elbows together is if I round my back forward, that's not what we want. We're looking at flexion and extension in the thoracic back. We don't want to enhance this rounded position. So hands at your temples, thumbs pointed down, and open your elbows back as far as you can and come together wherever is comfortable without forcing or causing discomfort. Good. Open and close. Always make sure you're breathing. And when we go through some of these exercises, I always tell my patients to imagine what life would look like without limitations. And open. And let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. We should feel energized and maybe a little warm because we're getting moving, and that's really great. As always, make sure your feet are straight forward and about a fist width in distance and even. Same goes for the sitting posture. We're going to interlace your fingers, turn your hands away from your body so your thumbs are pointing down, elbows straight, and lift your arms as high as you can towards the sky or the ceiling without bending and definitely without leaning your back. So don't shoot your hips forward. Drop your shoulders out of your ears and look towards, or tip your head back towards your hands, looking towards your hands. Some of you straight out in front may be a lot of work. Some of you halfway up. Any range from straight out to all the way up over your head is appropriate with your head back or gazing towards your hands. If you have limited mobility on one side, there's 2 options. One, you can grab the back of your hand and assist your arms up to the ceiling. So you're reaching as high as you can with your elbows as straight as you can get them, palms also facing away or towards the sky, ceiling, etc. Or if you can, find a position where you can put your other arm resting equally so that your shoulders are equal distance apart. Turn your palm away from your body, thumb pointed down, and reach with that hand up to the ceiling so that your shoulders are level, but elbow is straight and you're still getting that extension piece. Same thing can be done in the seated posture. Good, keep holding for those of you who are holding. Breathe, extend, and stay strong. And 3, 2, 1. And remember, a lot of these exercises seem simple, but they're not necessarily easy because we're making you do them in the right posture or the right position. And it's all about small movements that really make a big difference. For the next exercise, we are going to do shoulder shrugs, whether sitting or standing, or you can also do it against the wall. If you have a wall or something you can stand against easily, please find that space. So we're going to put our heels back to the wall, bottom, shoulders, and don't force your head. You're going to keep your hands connected or your palms connected to your sides. Shoulder blades come back. You're going to shrug up the wall and then press your shoulders down. Shrug up and down. So if you're on the wall, continue. Again, if you're sitting, we're going to keep your feet straight forward. Rock that small arch in your low back if you're able, and then we're going to shrug your shoulders up and then press down. We want to make sure your arms are more back rather than in front and rounded. So we're going to position our arms even, shrug up and down, and up and down. And again, continue. And then for the standing, this is what it looks like. We're coming up and down. And this is an exercise you can do very easily anywhere, really. I've had a lot of caregivers do this while they're leading a horse, for instance, in therapy, or even just as a quick interrupt, just shrugging up and down and up and down. Great. And again, making sure your hands are close to your sides. You'll notice a difference if your hands are popping away from your sides, because then you're up in your traps. So we're really trying to get the shoulders to move up and down. Great. And 3, 2, and 1. Wonderful. Great work. For this next exercise, we'll need a chair. So I'll grab my chair here. And for those of you who have a chair close by or a coffee table or something that you can sit on to practice this exercise, please join me. I have turned the chair to the side, so I'm going to sit on this edge and side of my chair, align my feet so that they are straight forward and in the same direction, as well as the toes lined even, and the knees. I don't want one knee in front of the other. Let's practice sitting up straight first, and then we'll get into the exercise. Go ahead and slouch for a second. And then instead of sitting up straight from our chest, and that's what a lot of times people try to do, is sit up straight here, what we're going to do is use the pelvis. So we're slouching, and then we're going to roll your pelvis forward. So we have a small arch in the low back, which then stacks the shoulders over the hips without forcing it in the chest. So let's try one more time. Go ahead and slouch and take your pelvis. And I'm pretty hands-on, so I put my hands on my hips to guide the rolling forward, and that's not necessary. It just kind of helps me. We're going to I am going to turn to the left side, so I'm going to take my left hand, keeping the arch in my low back, and grab behind the chair seat here. Take my right hand and put it on the outside of my leg, my left leg, and we're going to twist from the chest, more or less. I don't want this back knee coming forward, so we're not twisting in the pelvis. And the best that you can do, keep your sit bones even on the chair or the surface that you're on. And look over your shoulder if you can. Keep an arch in your low back. And this exercise can be done in a lot of places. You don't need equipment to do this. You can do it. I've seen people do it on the golf course, like on the golf cart, because golf courses are opening up now, on a park bench, anywhere that you really kind of need a little interrupt. We're opening up here. About 10 more seconds. Always make sure to breathe. Great, let's untwist, and what we do to one side, we need to do to the other. So I would come to the other side of my chair, and again, sit on the edge, and making sure your feet are straight forward again, knees are aligned, putting the small arch in your low back, and taking your right arm, reaching behind the chair, left arm outside of your right leg, and we're not pressing, we're not pushing. This is just placing here. We're using our back to twist and open up. And this isn't a movement we often do, and especially now with cars. Before, back in the day, right? We would have to take our arm and put it behind the headrest of the passenger seat just to turn around and back up. And now we just have backup cameras. So we don't do a lot of this action anyway. Good. Breathe. Notice, make sure your knees are level. Maybe one side was a little easier or felt more fluid to twist to. And 3, 2, relax. Good, untwist. The next exercise we are going to try is cats and dogs. And there's 2 ways that we can do this. 1, kneeling on the floor, and 2, sitting in the chair. I will demonstrate the chair position first. Again, we are going to use our pelvis. So we're going to tuck your pelvis under to roll and round forward. And then we're sticking our stomach forward and our pelvis back to open up and create an arch in your low back. So we're just rolling, rounding forward, and shifting your hips. So if you're able to get down on the floor with me, please do so safely. And we're gonna set up with your palms, your wrists right underneath your shoulders, and your knees right underneath your hips with your feet apart, like you're in a crawling position. So in order to keep the weight distributed evenly on your hands, you wanna focus the weight on the inside, first finger and your thumb. Spread your fingers apart. You're gonna tuck your bum under, or tuck your pelvis under for the cat position first. So you're gonna tuck, tuck, tuck. Let your shoulder blades come apart and tip your head down so that the top of your head is pointing to the floor. Then you're going to tip your pelvis so your tailbone comes up to the ceiling. Shoulder blades collapse together, bottom up, and head comes up, keeping your elbows straight. Let's go through that motion. Tucking your tailbone or your pelvis under, rounding your low back. Shoulder blades are coming apart, head is tucking under. Tip your tailbone up, creating an arch in your low back. Shoulder blades collapse and head follows. Elbows stay straight. Really make sure that you're using your pelvis, and I will turn to face the camera, that you're using your pelvis to make this happen rather than just your head. So you're tucking under, shoulder blades come apart, head comes down. Tip your tailbone, create an arch in your low back, stomach falls, shoulder blades collapse, head comes up.
It was wonderful. It just feels so much better than my back isn't as tight and tense, and my shoulders feel like I can move them.
The last exercise we're going to do is glute contractions. And the biggest key to this one is envisioning or focusing on the area squeezing, whether or not it actually contracts or the ability is there. It's really starting to focus on moving some muscles and engaging. So standing straight forward and or sitting, I want you to relax your upper body and go ahead and try to squeeze your butt muscles or your butt cheeks. We're going to squeeze and let go, and squeeze and let go. And I really want you to not pulse. We're not pulsing. We're contracting the best we can without squeezing our stomachs, without squeezing our legs, and releasing. So go ahead and squeeze and let go, or even just really visualize this contraction happening. And squeeze. And this is a hard contraction, meaning with strength if we can. So really focus and let go and squeeze. And again, notice if your thighs want to play along or if your stomach is contracting. Squeeze, let go, and squeeze and let go. Squeeze and let go. And then let's change our foot posture just for our foot position for this next exercise. Just turn your feet out to the sides and then go ahead and contract your glutes and notice a difference. Squeeze and let go. And the same goes for the seated posture as well. Squeeze and let go. And this is a prime example to show that really position matters in what we're doing with these exercises. So it may be easier for some of you with your feet out or in or straight forward, but just really notice the difference. Continue to contract and let go, and contract and let go, and contract and let go. And 3, 2, 1. Let's turn our feet straight forward for this last one. Same glute contractions, squeezing and releasing, and noticing if one side feels like it can get engaged quicker, or if it feels even, or even just imagine what it feels like, really squeezing and let go. And the order in which we do these exercises really makes a difference. So it's not the exercises themselves in particular. What I usually like to tell people is that my last name is Cherry, and while cherry picking is wonderful, cherry pie is the best. So we really want to follow the recipe, meaning we want to follow the order in which the exercises are given to get the most benefit for each individual. And squeeze, 3, 2, 1. Great. So shake it out a little bit, and let's go ahead and do a posture recheck. Go ahead and stand up if you're able, or remain sitting if you prefer or need to. But go ahead and just get settled. Close your eyes, and again, no matter your visual abilities, I want everybody to really turn inward with closing your eyes together. And recheck your posture. Notice the weight on your feet, or your sit bones, or your back against the wheelchair or the chair, or just imagine what you're feeling. Feel your hand position. Do your palms touch your side or your thumbs? And then are you swaying? Go ahead and open your eyes and focus on your hands, whether by looking down at them or feeling the position of how your hands now fall. Some of you will notice differences. Some of you will feel different. You may feel energized. If anything, you learned a lot and you moved great. Thank you for participating in my activity today. I have one last bonus exercise to get you moving forward and energized. First thing we're going to work on is a hand position. Spread your fingers apart, place one hand at your ear and the other hand at your side pocket or your hip. So we're going to switch, so going ear, pocket, opposite hand, opposite ear, opposite pocket. So switch, switch, switch. You want to make sure you're not just moving your elbows up and down, but your hands are actually coming ear, pocket. And the stance that we'll take is an athletic stance. So like you're going to go off for a sprint if you're standing. More of the weight is on your front foot. Your legs are displaced. In the seated position, think about leaning forward, actually lean forward, bring this energy forward with you. So we're gonna start here with hand at your ear and hand at your pocket. And we're gonna go quickly. Ready, set, ear, pocket, let's go, quick. Ear, pocket, come on, quick. All right, great work. And in the standing position, ear, pocket. Come on. And what we do with one side, we have to do with the other. Come on, let's switch and fast. Woo! And thank you everyone for participating. Great work.
Come on, I have you on camera. My son's gonna see this. Come on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is a question and answer section. I also invite you to reach out to me personally. My email and my phone number will be available, as well as thank yourself for participating and doing this. If your lifestyle does not control your body, eventually your body will control your lifestyle. Let's take control. This is great work for all individuals, those who are able-bodied, caregivers, those with difficult abilities, as you all just experienced. We did general, simple, but not necessarily easy exercises, and many of you felt the difference or even noticed a change in your body. Think of the power of a program designed specifically for your needs and abilities.